I've never been more excited because one of my favorite singer-songwriters sits before me. She is Deborah Holland. I learned about Deborah back in the late 80s, and I've kind of been bouncing in and out since then. And we'll get into that. How are you doing, Deborah?
I'm good. We go back a while, don't we?
We do. We do. I looked at my calendar and realized it's been 10 years since our last conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was,
And was that about my record, Vancouver?
that was about your record, Vancouver, and pretty much everything else because it was for my first book.
Oh, it
So,
was for a book. Okay, so it
yeah,
wasn't about my record. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
it was
Sorry, I was
about
being
you, not about
exactly.
me.
I was being selfish that day. Did you get the memo? It's always about me. That's just the way that's just the way it goes. Where do we find you in the world today?
At the moment, I'm in Los Angeles, but I now live. Oh, there goes my dog.
And there
Uh,
she
on a,
goes. It's okay.
I live on a place that's called the Sunshine Coast in British Columbia. It's near Vancouver.
That sounds nice.
Yeah,
That sounds
it's
tranquil.
beautiful.
Are there any golf courses? I'm just asking.
There are two
Okay,
golf
so
courses actually. I don't
I might.
play, but they exist. Yeah,
I like to think I kind of used to play, and that would be that sounds like a good place to swing
yeah,
for a
yeah.
while.
There actually are two golf courses there.
Excellent. What took you to L.A. if you don't mind me asking?
Winter.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Winter.
And I lived here for 33 years, so Los Angeles is really kind of home anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, I came also lots of music things uh, were going on, so that too. But mainly it was to get out of winter.
Gotcha. Is there a prominent music scene in Vancouver?
Uh, it's tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bigger if you're kind of like an indie rock band.
Yeah.
But for what I do, there's not much of a scene. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and LA is a whole different animal in and of itself. So,
Yeah.
but how how easy or difficult is it to get the musicians together that you want when you're recording in LA?
When I'm in LA,
Yeah,
it's simple.
that's kind of what I
Yeah.
figured. But
I mean uh, the abundance and quality of musicians here is mind-blowing.
yeah,
I mean, you can go to like a tiny club or a restaurant or a bakery on a Tuesday night and be blown away by the quality of musicians, or a jazz vespers concert at the Northridge United Methodist Church. I
huh,
mean, yeah, it's mind blowing how good musicians are here and how many of them there are.
yeah. I noticed there was a flight to Nashville years and years ago where a lot of musicians were setting up camp there.
Yeah, and that's still happening.
Yeah, and I don't think Nashville was ready. I've been there. Their infrastructure is not quite holding all the traffic that that I had to deal with.
Gotcha.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of recording, Deborah has a new record out.
Mm-hmm. Comes out tomorrow, March 7th. Yeah.
Happy occasion. See, that's where I went sideways on my dates. But and while I'm thinking about it, I'll just kind of hold this up for you.
Oh, thank you.
But,
That's
I was
lovely.
it's just I was just watching the video and it
Yeah.
really
Feel
got to me.
free to post that in the comments section.
I shall do that.
Yeah,
I shall
like
do
a
because
photo even.
it's something that truly needs to be heard. It's a wonderful record, and I'm not just
Thank
saying that
you.
because you're sitting in front of me. It's a wonderful record, and it's going to get repeated airtime here in the Sonic Sanctuary, as I like to call it.
Well, that's lovely.
I've made it this far. Tell us what
Yes.
that album is about on the whole.
Oh, well, the majority of the record, maybe the whole record, is about dealing with reaching a certain age in life and having more years behind me than I've got ahead of me.
Understood.
Coming to terms with all of that, celebrating it, bemoaning it, processing it, um, confronting it, and laughing at it.
So basically, what I do every Wednesday. Okay,
Yeah.
that, that makes sense. I was going to ask how much of the album feels or is autobiographical. I mean, because some people will embody the.
Well, I would say 100% of the work that I do in some way is autobiographical. It, uh, but that doesn't mean it's exactly my life. You know, things are exaggerated, things are changed. Some songs are truly autobiographical, but not all. And songs that I co-write are not necessarily purely autobiographical.
I got
And
you.
there's a couple of those on the record.
What's your overall methodology? What comes first? Is it the melody? Is it the words? Is it a combination thereof?
For me, it's everything at once, but I will have a title or an idea for a song, or the title will imply the idea for the song, or I'll have a couple lines, but I write the music and the lyrics and the melody, everything all at once.
That's impressive to me.
Now, I didn't always do that, but that's been my process for many years.
Okay, fair enough. Well, how did it start since you brought it up? What was
Good,
your
good
first
start.
process? What was your first process before you perfected
Oh,
this realm?
no, it was mostly always that. I don't know why I just said that.
or make it,
There's occasionally a song where I have most of the lyrics first. Occasionally.
yeah,
Um, I don't like writing lyrics to pre-existing music, so I never do that unless I'm forced to do it. Like in the case of years ago, um, Stewart Copeland, who I was in a band with, we did some co-writing together for various movies and TV things, and he would give me tracks, and I would have to write melodies and lyrics to that. But that was different. For
yeah,
Stewart Copeland, I'll do it.
fair enough. When he's kind of legendary, and again, we're gonna
Yeah,
get into that, but I really
yeah.
want to
But
talk
in
about this.
general, I find it very difficult to do that.
I understand.
So,
One of my favorite musicians comes up with his chord changes and everything else first, and he says he struggles with lyrics at times. It's gotten easier for him, but he's kind of it's kind of like, okay,
yeah,
there's the melody. Now what do I do with what do I do with this thing?
that's why I write everything all at once.
It makes sense. It makes sense. How long did it take to put this record together?
Oh boy, it actually was a couple of years process,
Yeah,
um, and it wasn't made in a very smart way. It was made in drips and drabs in way too many studios, way too many digital software programs, different versions of different software programs.
right.
It wasn't. It was for somebody who's had as much experience as I have making records. I made a lot of mistakes making this record, and it's a miracle that the end product is as cohesive as it is, and most of that is because of Wendy Waldman.
Okay,
Because I ended up that was the last place I went to, and I did all the vocals with her, and she did a lot of editing and fixed a lot of the problems that the songs had.
okay, okay. How many studio musicians do you employ, or did you do most everything yourself? If you're in multiple
Well,
locations,
I played all the acoustic guitar and piano. I played accordion on a couple songs. Everything else is other musicians. There's 3 bass players on the record, 2 drummers, one percussionist, uh, a string quartet arranger, and then my secret weapon is a guy named Patterson Barrett who did piano, organ, electric guitar, dobro, mandolin, pedal steel, lap steel,
right, right.
and he
I
did
say,
all those overdubs.
I say, now that's Nashville, right
And
there.
he did that in 3 days.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive because a lot of artists, it fascinates me that, and I'm a jazz fanatic for starters, and you hear
Yeah.
a lot of artists that take years upon years. I waited 12 years for a new Tool album, for example,
Right.
whereas Miles Davis and his band recorded Kind of Blue in 2 days over, this session, then that session, done.
Yeah.
So that
Because there were
fascinates
no
me.
overdubs. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, and those tend to take time. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. How difficult has it been? I mean, we're in an era, I think, musically where we're pre-COVID and post-COVID. So, how much have things changed for you since the world shut down and opened back up again?
I don't think there's any difference. Not
Interesting.
that I can think of offhand. Um, no, I don't think there's any musically or recording process wise.
However you want to look at it, just the music world in
Nothing that I can
general.
think of, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a good thing then. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, what would be
I mean, venues change, or some of them aren't where they used to be or exist at all. I don't know
well, my
if you
last record I released during COVID.
okay,
It was released in March of 2020. It was called Fine, Thank You. And that was pretty much a disaster because of COVID.
right,
But this record, I can't say COVID had anything to do with it.
fair enough. You going to spend a lot of time on the road with it? The
No,
new
I will
record, I mean.
not because I don't make any money going on the road. I have
It's
I have a show in Los Angeles, March 14th at McCabe's. I will do a show where I live on the Sunshine Coast near Vancouver. Maybe a few shows there. I have 2 shows booked in the Seattle area at the end of May, and beats me if there'll be anything else, you
I
know.
understand.
I mean, if
I
somebody offered me a gig and I wouldn't lose money, I'll come.
That makes sense. Have
Yeah.
you ever toyed with the idea of house concerts? I know
I
another
love
one of my
house
favorites does
concerts,
that.
but even those are hard to do. Even those are
Really?
hard to get. Yeah,
Huh. Yes. I
because
hope the
everyone
super
wants to
fans would
play
step
house
up.
concerts now. Everyone wants them. My trio, the Refugees, played many, many house concerts. And I've done quite a few myself. Yeah, I have done them, and I will do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
I,
I will do. But still, if it's a house concert in Chicago, let's say, I would
I
have
know a
to
spot
fly.
right here in my building.
Yeah, I've got to fly to Chicago,
Yeah.
uh, stay somewhere. I need a vehicle. Those are
So
expenses.
yeah,
Yeah,
it becomes a thing. I've had I like a lot of young bands. I don't like, we talked about this a decade ago. I don't like large venues. I love going to clubs. I love going
me
to
too.
small theaters,
Yeah,
and all the musicians I talk to say the same thing.
yeah.
If we
The only
break
time I
even,
ever go to an arena concert is if a friend is in the band and gets a ticket for me.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's fair. I
So
retired.
the only one I've been to, like in the past, boy, at least 15 years, maybe more, is Paul McCartney, and that's because Rusty Anderson is the guitar player
Good
in
player.
that band, and so he got me a ticket. But
Nice.
typically, no, I have not been to an arena show, and yeah,
I saw Peter Gabriel in 2023. I want to say late September 2023, and that marked my retirement from
yeah,
from large venues, and I never go. I never
yeah,
go. I think I'm being slowly talked into seeing Nine Inch Nails this year, but that's more of a favor
gotcha.
than actually doing that. For my friends and fans out there who are not familiar with you, how about a quick story of your life from a musical standpoint?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was born in Philadelphia, but never lived there. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside of New York. My parents were New Yorkers, so I kind of relate more to New York. Came to Los Angeles in 1977 when I was very young. Uh, I kind of had nothing happen for about 10 years. and decided to get out of the music business and go back to writing songs for myself. And I wrote 2 songs right away. One was called Spy in the House of Love, one was called Firing Up the Sunset Gun. And those miraculously made their way to Stewart Copeland, the drummer from the Police, who was putting together a band at the time with Stanley Clarke, world
Legendary
famous jazz
bassist.
bass player. And they wanted a female singer-songwriter because they didn't want to have any comparisons to Sting, which I'm
Makes
pretty
sense.
sure I'm about 180 degrees from Sting.
I would say
And I
so.
got a call asking if I'd want to go audition for the band. And I often tell this story. I went to the audition in a pink thrift store dress and cowboy boots because I had a gig that night with a little country duo. And 3 weeks, oh, I'm going to just turn off my email
No
so I don't
worries.
keep hearing the. There we go. 3 weeks later, I was in Brazil singing in front of 8,000 people. So Animal Logic recorded 2 albums and did some touring. I was on the David Letterman show and Tonight Show, and we had videos on MTV and VH1 and Much
They're all
Music and whatever.
right.
I mean,
They're all
it
still
was,
on YouTube, kids. So you need to
well,
need
now
to check
they're
them
on
out.
YouTube. YouTube
Y-
didn't exist back then.
Right, right.
Um, it's funny, more people have seen the David Letterman show on YouTube than did when it was on, because the night that we were on was the night the Berlin Wall came down.
Oh wow.
So we weren't on till about 4 in the morning. So anyone
Yeah.
who had set their VCRs, and for you kids who don't know what a VCR is, um, I'm going to assume your audience all knows what a
I've
VCR is.
got I got a chunk that are familiar. The rest of them, I'm sure somebody around them will explain it to them. It's bad enough that a lot of the kids I've dealt with don't know what CDs are. You know, true story. My last 5 years in the police department, I was a training officer, so it was my car and my car, my music. That's the rule. So, and it had a CD player, and I would bring a batch of CDs. And I actually had one young lady ask me, "What is that?" I said, "It's a CD." What's a
Well,
CD? It's
did you, our mutual friend, our wonderful mutual friend, Anil
yes.
Prasad, I don't know if you just heard his story about being stopped at the airport in Spain because he was coming back with albums,
Oh, good lord.
LPs, and he
Right.
got pulled. They didn't know what they were.
That's just scary.
I know. It's a
That's just
very funny
scary.
story. Anyway,
I
so after Animal Logic ended, and I went on to have a solo career, and the record that I've made now, I made it this far. This is my Freudian Slip, Panic is On, Book of Survival, Bad Girl Once, Van Gogh, Fine, Thank You. It's my 7th solo album.
yeah.
And then I've released 4 albums with a trio that I'm part of called The Refugees, and that's with Wendy Waldman and Sidney Bullins.
Mhm.
I became a professor of music. I did some teaching for many years, and that's pretty much it. Got a
Well,
couple of kids on
it's
the way.
it's what you and you. Oh yeah, you're still here. I have to. I love when work gets in the way of being a parent. It'll drive you crazy. I always told my friends. I still tell my friends when I was a detective, I missed this much of my kid because I was never home. You know,
Oh,
she stopped calling me dad and started calling me the guy who sleeps here.
oh dear.
Because that's pretty much what I was.
Oh
Pop
dear.
in, go to sleep, get up, put a new suit on, and go.
No,
I
I,
think,
I was mostly home. I never did that much touring.
well,
Yeah,
that's
so
good. That's good. Way back to Animal Logic, was there any sense of intimidation, or what was the feeling when you realized that you were
completely
on
in
the
the
stage with
beginning.
yeah,
Yeah, I was greener than the grass in Scotland or wherever the grass is the greenest.
right,
Yes, it's funny. I just was talking about this the other day on another interview. I didn't really have any confidence till kind of the making of the second record.
right.
Um, Yeah, it was quite intimidating and wonderful.
But
And
they're
they're,
great records.
I say intimidating, but they happen to be both lovely men, very down to earth, and were very good to me.
That's good.
Still are. They're still
Yeah,
good to
yeah,
me.
yeah. You
And I
guys,
forgot to say, Animal Logic, we were gonna record another album, and then COVID happened. But I took two of the songs that were close to being finished and had both Stewart's parts and Stanley's parts. And we released two songs in not last year, the year before, 2023, only digitally.
right?
But they're available on Bandcamp or wherever they're available. One is called Ordinary and one is called Can You Tell Me? And they're very much, even though they're my songs, they sound like Animal Logic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine. How much, if anything, changed between the during the interim? I mean, you were together in the late.
Well, what's funny is the first time we got back together, and it had been many years, we did what most people do at this stage of life, and we talked about our physical our physical ailments.
I certainly know that feeling.
Other than that, it felt the same. They haven't really changed.
Well, I always enjoyed the chemistry you guys had. It was like you were born to play together. I mean, I still get a lot out of those records.
They're
I need
good
to learn.
records. You know,
They are.
I don't really listen to my old work, but every once in a while I'll hear an Animal Logic song and I'll go, that's pretty good. And actually I just visited with Tony Berg, who co-produced the second Animal Logic record, and we were reminiscing and remarking on some of the kind of really wonderful things that are on that record. Yeah, they're very
Nice.
different, the two albums, in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
It sounds to me like what's the word I'm looking for? There was something heavier about the second record. It just
Mm,
Stanley's bass was coming out a
mm,
bit more, and
mm.
your vocals were soaring a bit or a bit higher. And of course Stewart was holding everything together. But there was something because the first record is strong by by us, but I felt you getting stronger, and there was something
Interesting.
building there.
Yeah.
It was working for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm
But
glad.
if I recall, it came to an end because Stanley didn't want to do extended touring.
Yeah, Stanley at the time was having a career as a film composer, and the band really didn't take off the way everyone was hoping it would. Um, we weren't really a rock band. We weren't a pop, I don't know what we
Yeah,
were. There were expectations, like critics weren't nuts about it because people thought it was going to be more of a jazz album. So it was too quirky for pop people and it wasn't jazz enough for jazz people, and it didn't really find a way. It was right before the radio format AAA, adult adult album alternative, whatever I
I'll
forgot
take
what
your word
those
for
are.
it.
It was before that radio format, so we didn't really fit in. It didn't really take off. We would have had to do a lot more touring,
Yeah,
like a lot more, to make it happen, and it just didn't work for Stanley's schedule at the time, and
that's fair.
rightly so. Yeah.
Makes sense. I always said that you were too smart for radio. There's
Mm,
a group of musicians I always put in there with you guys and Amy Mann and Michael Penn and Ani DeFranco. And that would be one hell of a music festival.
yeah.
And the geeks like me could come out and just get our fill of that kind of music. Uh, where was I going with that? Because I wanted to talk about touring for a hot minute.
Mhm.
Touring then versus touring now. We were just talking about there's no money to be made on tour now.
Unless you're well known.
Well, yeah, if you're Jay-Z or Beyonce or somebody, I would imagine, or
Yeah,
Taylor
or
Swift.
even lower level seems to do okay,
Yeah, but it's
but I don't have that kind of following to
right.
make it work. Yeah.
And it's a grind, no, regardless of how old
Yeah.
you are, just
Yeah.
day to
And
day.
I'm too old to sleep on people's couches, so Not going to
Agreed.
bed.
I mean,
I don't
I
need
go,
I don't need first class accommodations at a hotel, but I'm not sleeping on someone's
yeah,
couch.
but a bed is a good starter because
Yeah,
even I went out as a photographer with some friends of mine for just weekend tours, 3 or 4 shows, and I have a bad back, and it was just one of those things where okay, like we got to find a bed for him because that's in the military I could sleep on the ground, no problem, but that day is
gotcha.
that,
Yeah,
that day is definitely gone.
yeah.
How much of if any has does your approach change between writing for a band and writing for yourself, do you think?
No different, really. Because I write the song first, and then the band arrangement comes out of the song.
Right.
And all my songs, not the Animalogic songs per se, but anything that I've written since, I can perform with me and a guitar or me and a piano.
Yeah. I always heard that that's the mark of a good song. If you can just have your voice and one
Yeah.
instrument and you found it. It's like picking your own favorite child. But are there any songs for you that stick out throughout your career?
Well, I would say the song Thankful on my new record might be my favorite song I've ever written. Um,
Hence the sign that I
yeah,
offered you. But
and
if you haven't seen the video, guys, you need to see the
yeah,
video for it.
because it's a song that I aspire to feel that way every day. I don't, but I would like to feel that way I'd like to feel that way every minute of every day.
Yeah,
And I'm thankful I wrote that song. Yeah.
as am I.
That might be my favorite song I've ever written. Yeah.
That's good. That you uh, that after all this time, you can still amaze yourself. That's something I've always wanted to ask music. I always ask musicians when you're recording, the way for me, like Radiohead recorded OK Computer or, Led Zeppelin recorded, Houses of the Holy or whatever. When
Mhm.
you're sitting in the studio, do you know that you found it or does it take a little time? I mean, because I have an image in my head of a band looking up and going, God, we're good. But
Uh, it's a mix of all. It's a mix. Sometimes, I mean, yes, I'm holding on to the fact that I think it's a good song, but that doesn't mean I'm getting a good version of that song.
right,
That can be a process. I do think that this record is also is the best record. I think the collection of songs on this record is my best work to date. And I'm not saying that just because it's the newest. I do think I have uh, tapped into something as a songwriter and as a singer
yeah,
that I don't think I ever have quite nailed before, as well as I'm nailing it now. And I've got like 5 or 6 brand new songs that
I was
are
just about to ask.
following in those footsteps. Yeah, I'm able to dig deeper, if that's a way of describing it.
That's fair.
Yeah, and connect more with the songs as a singer. Like I think my voice even sounds better on this record than ever before.
Well, it
I
sounds
think
great.
I'm singing better and I'm writing better songs. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good thing. And having 5 or 6 more, how long before we hear those? Or do you want to let
I
the new
don't
record
know.
breathe for a while?
I don't know. It's expensive to make a record too.
Yes.
Um my older son sent me last night a YouTube video of a guy named Jesse Wells. I don't know if you've heard him.
Don't know if I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's like a very Bob Dylan-ish kind of political singer-songwriter, and I thought, maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just sing the song and put it up on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm not feeling like I'm ever going to make another record again, but that'll
Well,
probably change.
I can understand that. It's
Yeah.
called the James Bond effect. Every time Daniel Craig finished a Bond movie, I'm never doing that again. And then he does it again.
Yeah,
So,
well, paid a lot of money to do it.
That's true too.
For me, I pay to make the record,
Yeah, and
and I don't
that's
recoup. I don't recoup the costs because
yeah,
people
and
don't buy records
you're
anymore.
operating with your own label, correct?
Yeah,
So that makes it. I know that's got to make it a little more difficult.
yeah,
And again, I'm thinking of Amy Mann, who wrote and recorded Bachelor Number One, and Geffen said, "We're not going to release this. There's no there's no
yeah,
single here," and she had to pay, I want to say, six figures to get her own record back
right.
and distribute it. So, which leads me to something we talked about 10 years ago: the nature of sexism in the music industry. Has it gotten any better since we talked last?
Yes and no. Uh, if you look at the recent Grammys, or you look at like the top 50 artists, a whole lot of them are women,
Yeah.
but they're still not producing, engineering, playing. They're the front person, but they're not as much still the behind the scenes person.
How much of a?
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there's still that mentality of like, if a label has a female front singer-songwriter or a female band, they probably will not sign another one.
Yeah, I remember you
There's
mentioning
still
that.
that, well, we already have a woman. And I still see things like, even uh I don't know if you follow Rick Beato at all, who I
Yeah,
love.
I watched
Love
a few
him.
videos. Yeah.
What, a few months ago, or maybe it was longer than a few months ago, he put this thing like the top female blah 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 indie. I can't remember what it was. And I don't, he wouldn't put the top male artists of 22. It's, there's
Yeah,
still this separation that bugs the hell out of me.
and
Um
I will confess I did something similar when building a playlist once because I became an accidental misogynist in my in my collection. It was one of those things where I veered away from the pop scene. I wound up in progressive rock, and there just weren't a lot of women there. And then I went over to jazz, and I wasn't into jazz vocals initially, so there weren't a lot of women there.
mhm.
It took coming back to college rock for Till Tuesday and the Sundays and the Sugar Cubes before I said, oh, and then Animal Logic before I realized, oh, hey, there's a lovely crowd of women out there. And
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I like to think so.
Yeah.
Is there anybody out there that you'd love to work with?
Oh boy.
And it's a cliche
In what,
question, but I
as
always
a,
like to ask.
you mean musicians or
Yeah, musicians. We'll start with musicians, and if you want to move into producers and what have you, it works for me too.
uh, too many to name. I wouldn't even know where to, I can't answer that question.
That's good because there's an overload.
Yeah.
How about? And now I forgot where I was going with that. How about? It's going to come back to me. Because oh, that's it. Casual listening. I've heard some artists say that they can't listen to music casually because it interferes with their songwriting.
Not me. I am one of the few people I know that regularly goes out to hear live music, and is always discovering new artists. I just told you about this guy Jesse Wells.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, I am inspired by, whenever I actually, if ever I go to a concert, I've got a little pad and pen, because I'm always getting ideas from when I hear great live music.
yeah.
Yeah,
You walk right into my next question of how
yeah,
inspirational that kind of thing could be.
completely for me. I'm not a religious person, and I'm not even like a spiritual person. The spirituality that I feel is when I hear great live music.
Right. That's a good thing. That's
Yeah.
a good thing. What about the state of the world? I mean, things are a little topsy turvy right now. And I do remember you writing, I want to be a Canadian, kind of as a,
And I became one.
yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. I would appreciate it if you would put a little house just down the road from where you are so I could,
Yeah,
I could hang out there and go to the golf courses and
I
and
know a lot of
whatnot.
people say that. Yeah. Um, Well, I mean, my song "Ordinary" that Animalogic released is about being frustrated by seeing all these horrible things happen and feeling like, what can I do? Um, my new record has a song called "Wildfires" on it. One of my brand new songs is about climate change. I mean, uh, I just co-wrote a song with Dan Navarro called "Stand Strong." I mean, sure, of course,
Yeah,
it affects me. Um, I mean, the majority of my writing is still more personal, but you can't not have the state of the world affect you.
yeah. I mean, you've lived a life. You've gone through some things.
Yeah,
Is there? Do you have a feeling of it's going to get better? We just gotta write it out,
I
or
do. I do, but no one else I know feels that way. Except for my older son. He and I kind of feel the same way. Yes, I do feel that uh, the pendulum will swing back the other way.
yeah. I mean, you have to have some kind of optimistic outlook between pendulum swinging and my career. In law enforcement, it's just like you just gotta come home at the end of the day and sigh. And for me, it's
Yeah.
put on a record and
But saying that, I don't feel the divide between people will ever come back.
yeah,
I think that's going to exist forever.
and that's just sad.
Yeah.
In this time, it's and I could even talk about that in the realm of music, where I wrote about in my book. I have a chapter called Black Music because in the sixth grade I bought a record from Boston into my music class, and I wanted people to listen to that. And I actually got cornered. My school was 95% white,
Hmm.
and I got cornered by one of my fellow black students. Saying, "Why didn't you bring any black music?" And I don't know what that is. And I asked Vernon Reed about it, and I told him what happened. He gave me the most puzzled look. Like, what do you mean? So do you how diverse is your audience? Do you think are a lot of people catching on, or do you have a crowd?
My audience,
Yeah.
uh, I don't really, I don't really have an audience. I mean, I always say if I could get all the Animal Logic fans slash my fans at one venue at one time, I would probably have, I don't know, a couple hundred people there.
Oh, you do better than
You'd be surprised.
that.
Yeah, I don't really have an I don't have an audience.
Right. Was
Yeah,
was there any kind of springboard from Animal Logic into your solo career?
not really. I mean, a tiny bit.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the people that have been following me since Animal Logic, yes, but they're few. They're few
that's
and far
fair.
between.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
I have to say, I am thankful for that group of people.
Yep, yep. And,
Extremely thankful.
and I'm going to I like to insist that people listen to songs. And so when Animal Logic was out, like, I don't know who they are, just listen to this. And I would get that's pretty cool. I like
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I was the opening lines of the song Thankful are I made it this far, I didn't die young. There's a couple of people familiar with songs that I've sung.
Yeah.
That's who I'm talking about. Yeah.
that would be me.
Yeah, I
I
am thankful for you and other people like you
and I,
who
I
have
appreciate that.
followed me through all these years.
I do what I can. I do what I can. But I just like I said, you're in that too smart pile at times. It's just like we need
Oh,
to
thank
get
you.
we need to get more smart out there. Though and she seems smart to me too. I was shocked when I became a Billie Eilish fan because that seems so out of my wheelhouse.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like, you know what? This is good, and I blame HBO because they used one of her songs for the theme of the fourth season of True Detective, and I heard the song and it was like, what what is this?
Oh,
And
oh,
pulled out the old Zoom app and looked at Billie Eilish, really?
yeah.
It's
I have Shazam, and often if I'm watching a TV show or a movie,
yeah.
I use it
And I meant to
more
say
in
Shazam. I
TV.
think I said Zoom, but I meant to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Shazam. I was kind of floored. So, okay, well, I'll listen to the album and see how that goes. And love the album. So I have a copy of Cowboy Carter. I have no idea how that happened. I was, I was in Denver. I was in a record store. I was sitting there on vinyl. I'm like, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, it's a solid record. You're a casual listener, and I'm going to let you escape in a second. What has shocked you musically? What have you ever buy or listened to that really surprised you?
What has shocked me? Um, I guess I'm in awe of really great musicianship, like Jacob Collier or Brad Meldo
Oh yeah,
or
very good.
um, Chris Thile. That quality of playing is I don't know if shock is the word, but I'm in awe of that quality of musicianship.
Is there hope for us in the future? Are they going to have company, or are we looking at a world where things get generic and
No, I
electronic and
think
dull?
there'll always be great musicians. There'll always be great songwriters. There'll always be great singers. Always. Yeah, I'm
Nice,
not worried about that. Um, it's just never going to be as now. It's not mainstream music.
right?
You have to seek it out. Yeah, I don't even know what mainstream music is anymore. I mean, I hear it when I go to an exercise class. I go, "Oh, what's that?"
Generic yet effective. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
I can understand that because I don't know either. I don't have that answer for you. I've been out of the mainstream for so long. It's just if it catches my ear, then I'm in.
yeah.
Not a problem. But who knows where that's going to come from next? It's going to come from your record. I'm telling you, it's going to.
Oh,
I'm going
I
to be
hope
listening
so.
and going to be
From
listening
your
and try.
lips to God's ears, as they say.
Well, I'm going to pull out my acoustic and try to learn a couple of tunes. If you ever get an urge to send me charts
I
just
have charts for everything.
of just chords or something, because
I've got charts. Just tell me what you want. I'll send it.
fair enough, fair enough. I
Yeah.
will let you escape by plugging yourself. Where will we find your music in the here and now?
Oh, well, now it's on my brand new website, which is now, after how many years, is now DeborahHolland.com. I
Ah,
was .net for all these years because somebody else had .com, but now I've got it. So DeborahHolland.com. All my music is there, available for purchase, digital downloads. I've got CDs, although people don't really buy CDs very much anymore.
well, I do.
I know, it's nice.
I'm a weirdo, but
Yeah, yeah. Oh, most people don't even have the ability to play a CD anymore.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I post shows on my website, and yeah, DeborahHolland.com.
wonderful,
Everything's there.
wonderful, wonderful. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, thank you.
Let's not let a decade come between you and I talking again, please. Because
Sounds good.
all right, you take care of yourself.
You too. Okay, bye-bye.